Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Are you surprised, or would you be surprised to learn that Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, rejected Trump's supposedly proposed peace plan for Ukraine? Would you be surprised? Would that take you by surprise? Would you be, oh my God, what's going on here? Well, that's exactly what Putin did. Putin told Trump, no, Trump, your peace plan is garbage. Why? I will explain. I have here 4 articles. The first one deals with Putin's rejection of the infantile Trump's peace plan. And the other one is the same peace plan was offered by Joe Biden in 2021. Which is, well, it's okay, just take it easy. We're going to arm Ukraine a little bit more. And then maybe in about 5 or 10 years, Ukraine will be part of NATO. So we just postpone something. That was the offer. This is Trump's offer now. I will explain why Putin rejected this infantile peace plan coming from the other side. All right, let's start with the first article coming from Ukrinform. And this is from 27th of December 2024. Putin rejects Trump's team's peace plan idea, Institute for the Study of War. Russian President Vladimir Putin has explicitly rejected a proposed quote-unquote peace plan reportedly considered by the US President-elect Donald Trump's team to end the war in Ukraine. So you see, Trump wants to end the war that the Russians started. That's the whole point here. And I'm quoting, Russian President Vladimir Putin explicitly rejected a suggestion reportedly considered by the US President-elect Donald Trump's team in early November 2024 that would delay Ukraine's membership in NATO for at least a decade until Putin dies, as a condition for ending the war in Ukraine. These guys, Institute for the Study of War analysts say. That's the first one. The second one, Putin rejects peace plan proposal being crafted by Trump's team. Analysts at the Institute for the Study of War have indicated the Russian leader Vladimir Putin has dismissed a proposal for a potential peace plan being developed by the team of the US President-elect Donald Trump. Analysts suggest that Putin has explicitly rejected a proposal considered by the Trump team to delay Ukraine's NATO membership for at least 10 years. First question. I know, the Russian invasion of Ukraine was undefensible. It was unprovoked, and it's just illogical. Has no sense. I mean, the Russians just invaded because we're told they have imperialistic tendencies, and they want to rebuild the Soviet Union. If you think that's true, you're an imbecile. Isn't that what Putin said? No, he said it was a tragedy, the fall of the Soviet Union. And he said, because so many people in the Soviet Union were taken from one place, were caught in different newly formed states. Let's say Moldovans were in Kazakhstan, Russians were in Moldova, and so on. That's what he said. It was the biggest tragedy of the 20th century. You still can watch and listen to that interview. So if you think he wants to do that, these guys are big liars. So let's go to this one. So the Russians says, you know what? One of the reasons why we are going to have a problem with Ukraine is NATO expansion. That was the foundation of the Russians' argument against these guys. And remember in 1991, Boris Baker, he told the Soviets that, hey, no 1 inch eastward expansion of NATO. Promise, gentlemen agreement. Not written, gentlemen. But these guys are not gentlemen. But the Russians, the Soviets, however you want to call those guys, and it was Shevardnadze, and he is Georgian, the foreign minister of the Soviet Union. It was Gorbachev, who was maybe too idealistic and working for, okay, we don't know yet, but nevertheless, he didn't like to come to Russia too often. I wonder why. So, the broken promise. And then these guys advanced and pushed NATO towards the Russian borders, not the Russians pushing the borders towards NATO countries. Okay, so who's the imperialist here? So the Russians entered, according to them, as bad as they are, because one, their, how do you call it, Russian-speaking population, which is ethnically Russian, in the eastern part of Ukraine, again, exactly what Putin talked about with the biggest, problem, the biggest catastrophe. They said, you know what, we're not going to accept the coup d'etat in Kiev that was orchestrated by the lovers of democracy. So the Russian says, you kill our ethnic Russians over there, we have to defend them. Like the Americans defended, the ethnic Americans in Texas, and then we took half of Mexico. No, I'm sorry, we purchased it. All right, that's how the right word it is. Now, how we purchased it with our troop in Mexico City. That's how we beat the shit out of them. Yeah, man, we did it. Okay, the same reason. So when you talk about the Sudetenland of the Adolf and the taken of Czechoslovakia and then the Danzig corridor, you had the 1800s incident with the Texas liberation, all right, independence. The same reason. So these guys did it before those guys did it, but nevertheless, forget about it. It was necessary. So the Russians entered because of the neutrality of Ukraine was broken in 2014 when the coup d'etat occurred. So the Russians entered the war, special military operation, lost hundreds of thousands of people probably, damaged, sanctions imposed on Russia by these guys, and now these guys want to say, why not? How about we postpone this one? So we stop right here. We're going to bring more weapons and we regroup in Ukraine. Putin and these idiots die, and we're going to promote our guys over there, like in other countries. We'll win democratically elections in Russia, and if the other ones, the ones that we don't like, win, then we claim that was rigged. If our boys win, that was the perfect election. So the Russians went in already for that. And you tell them now that, hey, how about in 10 years? And Putin said, right here, this is what Putin says. The Kremlin leader said it did not matter whether Ukraine joined NATO today, tomorrow, or in 10 years. You got that? Zero. And I have to tell you this. And I'm going to use the example of, let's say, Karate Kyokushin and chess. All right, chess. You go and play chess. You're not really you can claim, yeah, we're under stress, but you're not afraid that the guy's going to knock you out and you can go in a coma like a little rat, So you're not afraid. You go in to fight, you're afraid. You're afraid, but you fight. But with time, you don't feel the same, don't feel the same excitement, negative excitement. Oh, the guys are not. Well, you just get used to it. So yes, when you play chess, you are more, not under stress. But when you are in the middle of an operation and you have to make a decision, then a chess decision, you have to make the decision under stress. So Putin was under stress. Trump was not. I'm talking about not that he got shot at or this kind of. No, I'm not talking about that. In dealings. In acting. Trump, his life was like this. In rooms with desks, and they were negotiating with cigars, bourbon, and whatever. Calm, nothing against your head, nothing like your families, as far as I know. Okay? So he did it with like a chess player. Everybody quiet, we're going to have to think. No stress, no music, no threats, no other. Putin, on the other hand, had to act under stress, not only in Germany. So I give Putin much more credit of courage than Trump. Yeah, fight. I take that with Trump. Yes, great, fantastic. Nothing to take away from the guy. But the other guy was over there in Germany, East Germany, where he could have been just abducted by these guys and then bye-bye. So, all right, make decisions. So when Putin negotiates with Trump with his little book of Little Red Riding Hood, The Art of the Deal, he's going to stay in front of Putin. So remember when Trump said, well, I threatened Putin with launching, destroying Moscow. And the guys said what? Putin did probably like this. Like he laughs. You make me laugh. Medvedev said, yeah, we can destroy Washington as well. So Are you idiot? The point is, Trump cannot threaten Putin with anything, and Putin is not threatened by Trump's little threats. So he's going to do what he said he's going to do, that is fulfilling his undefensible 4 reasons why they got into war, which is, first, NATO out, no NATO, no Ukrainian military, denazification, and the Donbass and the Crimea is going to be part of Russia. That's what he said. That's what's going to happen. And it will happen now, not in 10 years. Postponing something that we disagree is like someone tells you, you know what, I will just your wife, but not today. It's going to be in 10 years. Well, we're fighting right now because you wanted to my wife. So what are we going to do now? Well, you know what? Let's stop because I'm bruised and I'm bloodied. I have to recover a little bit, work out better, train a little bit more, and then we see you in 10 years when I want again to your wife. Why would you agree? No, I'm going to fuck you up right now as I am at it. Bam, 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 and you will never recover to get my wife. Correct? Correct. I think that's what the Russians are doing. They don't go half measures, and I'm glad the Russians woke up with these partners, Western partners. There's no such a thing. That's the first one. And let's go to the second topic, which is Russia Today. Putin reveals secret Biden Ukraine-NATO offer. Washington previously said it was willing to delay Kiev's membership in the bloc, according to the Russian president. So they did the same thing as this baboon right here. 10 years, delay membership for at least a decade. And they did it here. US President Joe Biden offered to delay Ukraine membership in NATO at the organization's 2021 summit in Geneva, Russian President Vladimir Putin says. And I'm quoting, I know that the current President Biden spoke about this. It's no secret. Back in 2021, he proposed exactly this to me, to delay Ukraine admission into NATO by 10 to 15 years because Kiev is not ready yet, Putin said. We too are striving to end the conflict, he said. He said here is not Kiev's entry into the US-led military bloc is unacceptable to Moscow. And I'm quoting, whether it's 1 year or 10 years, the Russians said. Got that? And here we have, from Sputnik, Biden proposed to postpone Ukraine's NATO membership in 2021, according to this real guy right here. I know. He's bad. Okay, now. So, do you think that Trump has any leverage? Trump has nothing for or against Ukraine. Probably he has something against Ukraine because Ukraine was the baby of the Biden family. If you know Burisma, remember that one? And not only. You remember that prosecutor's office? The prosecutor? Remember? Now we talk about prosecutors and investigators. So, about the prosecutors, that Biden said, I held $1 billion, I think it was, loaned to Ukraine until that fucker prosecutor gets fired. And they fired him, man. All right, this is how the Americans are dealing. That's mafia style. Not that the Russians are not, but hey, don't give me... I dislike when these guys are telling us that we are saints. And they have bigger skeletons in the closet than everybody else, most likely, in many areas. Now, it doesn't mean that they didn't do some good things as well, but, pointing all the time the finger to others because they don't bend over and take it deep, I disagree. So the Russians says, no, idiots, that's why we entered Ukraine. Remember? What do you mean? You're going to touch her later when you get better? Trump has nothing. Nothing. He can play here for the baboons, and they're going, yeah, Trump. Okay, Trump. First, Trump has to pass over the Pentagon, the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, and after he gets over these guys, and he somehow, then that means being alive after talking to them, then he can talk to Putin. Do you think he's going to be allowed to talk to Putin? Remember when Putin they met in Helsinki, I think it was, somewhere in the Nordic countries. Everybody was upset. Why did they meet? And they have, Putin and Trump, they had a conversation for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, alone, only with the translators. Obviously with everybody else listening. But it was like, the media here was like, what did they talk? What's going on here? They were all, oh my God. The Soviets spoke with the Americans, remember? That's how you won the whole war. God, anyway. Thank you very much for being here again today. The Russians will not accept that, and the Americans or Trump will not be able to do squat. They will have to accept everything Putin says, unless the Americans are willing to send you, your son, your sister, your brother to fight in Ukraine for the international banking system, the military-industrial complex, and for the energy industry. The big supporters. Profiteers? Nah. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.